Hey guys, tonight we find ourselves in the ancient city of Thebes, where history and dreams intertwine like the vines that creep up its stone walls. Imagine a place where every corner whispers a secret of times long past, where the air is a fragrant mix of incense and blooming flowers. Among this historical tapestry, you find a high priest. He's not exactly practicing for the next temple ceremony. Instead, he's in a petal-scented trance, an ethereal midpoint between waking and dreaming, almost as if he's floating just on a bed of flowers. You probably won't survive this through the night, but hopefully your sense of wonder will. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As your eyes close, you find yourself walking through the bustling streets of Thebes, where the Nile River gracefully curves, like an old friend who has seen you at your best and worst. You make your way past merchants selling their wares, colorful textiles, baskets of pomegranates, and hear the distant clamor of the marketplace, a symphony of bargaining voices and clucking chickens. The sun burns high, casting long shadows that play tricks on your eyes. You laugh softly to yourself, thankful for the shade of the palm trees lining the avenues, offering brief respite as you go. Your feet carry you to a grand temple, its towering columns decorated with intricate carvings and hieroglyphs that tell tales as old as time. A warm breeze dances playfully with the edges of your linen robe as you step inside. The scent of lotus flowers fills the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of stone history, absorbing into you with every breath. Historians still debate whether such temples were designed with divine inspiration or merely as a testament to human creativity. But standing here, you have little doubt that both played a part. Inside, the cool air wraps around you like a gentle embrace, a welcome change from the sun-drenched streets. You walk quietly, your footsteps echoing softly against the aged stone floors. Candles flicker in the dim light, and somewhere in the distance a scribe mutters to himself while inscribing another chapter of history onto papyrus scrolls. You wonder if he knows how lucky he is to shape the story of his civilization, even if only with ink and reed. Before you, in a room that seems to exist outside of time, lies the high priest, his body partially enveloped in a cascade of vibrant petals. It's a vision that's both serene and surreal, and you find yourself unable to look away. With each deep breath, his chest rises and falls as though he is breathing in the very essence of the flowers around him. He's not sick, you muse, noting the healthy flush of his skin that contrasts with the pale blue of the petals. He's simply elsewhere. In this trance, you sense he's connected to a world that is both fantastical and familiar. One can only imagine the worlds he drifts through, maybe conversing with deities or traversing the halls of ancient wisdom. The flowers, once just plants swaying under the Egyptian sun, now cradle him gently, as if acknowledging their role in this sacred ritual. A faint rustling breaks the scene as a novice priest enters, carrying more petals in an ornate basket. Blessings, he murmurs, acknowledging your presence with a nod, before emptying the fragrant contents at the high priest's feet. You watch curiously, stifling a grin. It's almost like the world's most elaborate ancient spa treatment, minus the cucumber slices you mentally add with a smirk. As the novice retreats quietly, you return your focus to the high priest. Shadows from the flickering candles dance across his peaceful face, and you can't help but feel a pang of envy. Who wouldn't want to float away in a flower-induced reverie now and then? You wonder if he dreams, composes endless odes of silent prayers, or drifts in cosmic silence. The Egyptian epic of the shipwrecked sailor comes to your mind, a tale of survival, miracles, and gratitude. Perhaps he, too, floats on a metaphoric ship, navigating the realms beyond. With each petal and each moment of silence, you feel history unfold you, accept you into its narrative. Outside, the world carries on oblivious to this sacred stillness. From somewhere within the temple, a faint yet rhythmic tapping echoes like a heartbeat through the ages. Just another subtle reminder that life in its varied forms endures. Subtle hints of dusk gather around you as if the evening itself is preparing for slumber alongside you. The air is cool against your skin, a gentle whisper of the night's promises. You find yourself within the vast chamber of an ancient tomb where flickering torchlight caresses the walls, adorned with enigmatic figures and symbols etched by hands long gone. Here, among the echoes of forgotten times, you discover the blue lotus, a flower that captivates the imagination. As you trace the delicate swirling patterns, painted with meticulous precision, you can't help but marvel at their vibrancy. The blue lotus blooms repeatedly in the frescoes, its petals open and inviting. Its significance transcends the mere beauty of nature. Surprisingly, this plant wasn't just for decoration, but played an integral role in ancient Egyptian spirituality, embodying creation and rebirth. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a flower take on such daunting metaphysical duties? Well, our old friends, the Egyptians, were nothing if not ambitious in their symbolism. Historians have long pondered whether the lotus was simply a beloved motif or harbored deeper connections to the rituals of the afterlife. The flower, it's said, once punctuated the murmur of the Nile, with its presence opening each morning with the sun and retracting at night. You wonder if the ancients likened this rhythmic dance to the soul's journey, waking in new realms of existence. Around you, there's a sense of timelessness, the weight of centuries hanging in the air, like the scent of myrrh threaded through the tombs. You step cautiously, sand crunching softly underfoot, as if not to disturb the serenity that resided here long before you wandered in. A wry thought crosses your mind. You probably won't survive the intricacies of the afterlife if you can't navigate these corridors now. Yet here you are, traversing the sands of the past, because really, who needs modern comforts when you have stories of divine flora yet to uncover? Your fingers skim across a sarcophagus, its surface cool under your touch, wrapped with strands concealing so many secrets. Imagine blue lotuses were laid with great care alongside the entombed, poised to guide spirits through the labyrinths of eternity. It seems even in death a little flower power went a long way. But were they really dreaming of gardens in the hereafter? Or was there something more to this floral fancy? It turns out the allure of the blue lotus might not have been purely symbolic. Some sneaky researchers whisper that consuming its petals could induce dreamy visions, digested dreams, if you will. A bit like slipping into a soft slumber filled with vivid reveries, while under the thick, inky blanket of an Egyptian night. The debate remains, however, as to whether these dreams hinted towards something more divine or were merely the herbal forerunners of imagination's flights. For now you ponder amidst crumbling relics, shadows expanding and contracting in steady rhythm. A slow smile creeps up as you muse on the idea of ancient priests popping lotus petals to seek divine inspiration, not exactly your typical temple ritual, but an amusing image nonetheless. Somewhere behind you, you half expect to hear a feather-soft whisper in the stillness, an echo of conversations once carried out beneath these stone ceilings. What might these walls say of the blue petals, their highs, and the thresholds they claim to touch? Would they tell of wise men who dreamt dreams too elaborate to hold seemingly woven from threads of sky and water? An enigmatic smirk tugs at your lips, and you allow your thoughts to drift, just as the ancients must have cast their prayers to the heavens. The warmth you feel isn't merely the play of torches, but the enduring glow of mystery, a comfort woven from the knowledge that some secrets are destined to linger beyond time's hold, captured within a singular, soft petal. You find yourself walking along the banks of the mighty Nile, where slender reeds sway gently, and the scent of damp earth fills your nostrils. The river's waters gleam under the midday sun, revealing flashes of silver as fish dart among the reflections. Around you, life moves with a comforting predictability. Women carry jugs on their heads, balancing them with an ease honed over countless generations, while men tend to nets and boats, their hands calloused from labor. In this timeless scene, you notice a small courtyard, bustling with the unmistakable aroma of grains and something sweet, a beckoning fragrance that cuts through the heavier, earthy scents. You're drawn towards a cluster of clay pots, arranged like an ancient alchemist's workshop. Nearby, a woman, with a face as weathered as the cracked pots themselves, stirs a bubbling concoction. Her eyes catch yours, a silent invitation to explore a fragment of daily life, so effortlessly complex that it echoes through the millennia. "It's beer," she says with a toothless smile, which softens the hard lines of her face. But not just any beer. This is Egyptian beer, thick and hearty, the lifeblood woven into the fabric of everyday existence. Comprising mashed barley and emmer wheat, fermented patiently over days in clay pots, it embodies a rustic charm, something akin to liquid bread. Dates are thrown in for sweetness, a little extra, to appease the gods, or at least make you think you're seeing them. You stand there absorbing the homely scene, and she hands you a small clay cup. As you lift it to your lips, you feel its warmth seep into your hands, an oasis of comfort in this sun-drenched world. The liquid inside is thick, almost porridge-like. You sip tentatively, a surprising sweetness mingling with a tang of fermentation that dances across your tongue. Such a brew, if drunk in generous amounts, say 3 overflowing cups, might start conversations with deities. You chuckle at the thought, yet there is truth in the cheeky promise. The Egyptians saw beer not just as a drink, but as a bridge to realms beyond the mundane. Historians still debate whether the thick, hearty mixture constituted more of a meal than a drink. But be it sustenance or spirituous delight, there's no doubting its significance. Looking around you, wonder how many others have stood in this exact spot, dreaming their dreams, and perhaps seeing more than meets the eye. As the liquid slides down your throat, you notice the woman's hands, strong, sturdy hands, that have no doubt brewed countless batches of this sacred drink. You can't help but admire the seamless blending of science and art this process requires. It resonates with an almost universal truth that some of the best things in life are made slowly and with care. This is the true gift of Hkt. The woman muses a reference to the goddess of beer, and you find yourself nodding along. Her wisdom permeates the air, mingling with the heady scent of dates and grains. It's easy to see how such a concoction could be seen as divine. The transformation from humble ingredients to something greater is nothing short of magic. You wander away, eventually warmth spreading through your belly as that comforting hum of life in ancient Egypt surrounds you. The sun begins its descent over the Nile, wrapping everything in a cloak of orange and purple. You're struck by how even in its waning moments, daylight paints a picture of eternal vibrancy. As shadows stretch across the path, your thoughts drift to the gods who supposedly revel in the offering of this beer. What stories did they tell over these cups? What dreams did they hatch? Did their imaginations wander in much the same way yours does now? Ancient laughter seems to weave through the evening breeze, a melodic hint that the gods just might be amused by your queries. As you meander along, you replay the scene in your mind, savoring the tastes, the scents, the subtle connection to those who came before. Feet steady on the dusty road, heart light, you find an unexpected kinship in this timeless ritual. As though sensing your contemplation, an old man with a long beard passes by and nods. A good brew makes wise any fool, he chuckles quietly. With a grin, you wonder if he speaks of you or perhaps himself. Humor, you realize, is as ageless and universal as the very substance you've just savored. Continuing in silence, you appreciate the serenity that envelops you. The Nile whispers stories of time gone by, and the crisp evening air carries the sweet promises only Egypt in twilight can offer. Yet beneath the surface of these gentle serenades lay the glimmers of divinity, perhaps only to be glimpsed in the next cup or two. Deep in your heart, you carry the memory forward as timeless as the river by your side. As twilight descends the curtains of night, embracing the land, a world grows quieter, softer. Such is the gentle lull of Egypt in repose, a story whispered from one resting soul to another. Now, as you settle into this unfolding narrative, secure in its soothing embrace, you let the hushed tones of the ancient world carry you toward rest. Your breath matches the rhythm of the river, a slow, steady current drawing you deeper into a realm of tranquil slumber. Feel the warmth of HQ's gift, lingering like an old friend, accompanying you into the quiet corners of night. The visions fade to whispers. The world cradles you. And in this timeless moment, sometime between reality and dream, you allow yourself to drift away, safe in the gentle arms of history you rest. As you continue your journey through the dimly lit halls of this ancient Egyptian temple, the scent of the Kaifi incense lingers in the air, intricately blending with the cool stone beneath your feet. Every step you take seems to echo a story told ages ago. You catch a flicker of torchlight dance across the hieroglyphs on the wall, each character whispering secrets of rituals past. You pause, tracing a finger along the intricate carvings, and consider that some of these rites might have involved a longer than necessary pause to deeply inhale the swirling aromatic clouds of Kaifi. As you wander deeper, you can't help but ponder the historical tales surrounding this mystical incense. With 16 ingredients, each contributing its unique aroma, frankincense, myrrh, and mastic. Among them, it was crafted using methods that remain an enigma even today. Historians still debate whether each component was chosen for its aromatic quality, or perhaps for more mystical purposes. The soft, rhythmic chanting of priests, a memory or an echo, seems to drift by, bringing along the comforting weight of antiquity. Your path leads you to a grand chamber. Through the darkness, and the sweet-smelling smoke figures emerge. Priests draped in white linen move with a practiced grace around a large altar. It's here that the Kaifi is burned, releasing spirals of smoke that entwine and dance towards the heavens. You watch, fascinated by the ceremony, imagining the details you might share with friends, framed with a touch of sarcasm about the potentially over-enthusiastic inhalation tradition. There's a certain charm in indulging in a tradition till your head spins, at least according to ancient standards. You let out a small chuckle at the thought and focus back on the visual tapestry unfurling before you. The priests with their solemn expressions chant softly, their voices mingling seamlessly with the smoky tendrils. You imagine the scent grounding yet elevating, how it might clear the mind or perhaps blur the boundaries between the earthly and the divine. The faint tingling in your nose from the imagined aroma is enough to convince you that there was more to this than simple fragrance. A gentle breeze floats insubstantial, yet whispers stories of the past, cooling the back of your neck and stirring the fine hairs. You glance at the lofty ceiling where rafters stretch like the open arms of some forgotten giant, embracing the warmth and the weight of gathered prayers. Stones bearing witness to uncountable ebbs and flows of history stand silent yet strong around you, testifying to the enduring nature of human belief and ritual. Alongside you, a fellow observer stands, their robe brushing lightly against your own. A quiet exchange of glances with them gives form to a shared understanding. This was a place of power, bound in time, yet strangely individual to each who passes through. "It's a bit much, isn't it?" they murmur softly, a wry grin pulling at their lips and mirroring your internal musings. The ceremony continues, the air growing thick with both anticipation and scent. You can't help but wonder if the ancient Egyptians ever thought about just how impactful Kaifi could be. Perhaps just like a bygone night in a distant realm of candles and stardust. This ritual was more than a calling to the divine. It was an expression of unity, a communal inhalation of dreams and hopes solidified in smoke. As you watch, enthralled by this interplay between history and sensation, it occurs to you that within these ancient walls, time has taken on a peculiar shape, winding and unwinding with a whimsical unpredictability, just like the notion that maybe sniffing a bit too much might bring about visions slyly teasing practicality's boundaries. Here, wonders seem almost tangible, like the stars sprinkled across that velvet sky outside. Your eyes skim over the scene one last time, capturing every nuance, the priest's deliberate motions, the rhythm of their chants, the curling smoke. It is a scene that plays out like a lullaby, woven through the ages, steady, consistent, and deeply soothing. With a slow exhale and a sense of lingering calm, you step away, leaving behind the grand chamber and its solemn rites. The sound of your footsteps falls gently in the corridors, carrying away the soft echoes of a temple's heart. As you move toward the exit, you feel a gentle resolve settle within you, a quiet promise to hold these moments close, carried like treasured relics into the peaceful realm of sleep. The light taps the edge of shadows, threading gold into dusk, and whispering you onward into tranquil rest. Soft amber light dances across the ancient stone walls of the grand dining hall, casting shadows that flicker like gentle whispers in the flickering candlelight. The air seems alive with the chatter of noble guests, their laughter weaving through the heavy oak beams above. As you step into this royal setting, the heady aroma of spiced meats and honey mingles with the sweet, mysterious scent of something unfamiliar yet enticing. It draws you in as you find your place at a long wooden table, polished from years as gatherings, its surface reflecting a history of feasts and merriment. Crystal goblets glint under the warm glow, each filled to the brim with a rich dark wine. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, a kind of knowing buzz that hints at secrets shared among those gathered here. Your gaze is inevitably drawn to the centerpiece of tonight's curious indulgence, the Mandrake root, known not just for its peculiar shape resembling a human figure, but for its reputation steeped in folklore and mystique. You have heard tales of its powers whispered among kitchen maids and echoed in the songs of bards, each adding a layer to its legend. You watch as the cupbearer steps forward with careful, deliberate movements, his expression serene, almost ceremonial. He pours the wine into your goblet, the crimson liquid swirling like a tamed tempest. A smile plays at the corner of your lips as a soft chuckle escapes. The thought crosses your mind. You probably won't survive this, much like the skeptics would jest about spending a night with such a concoction. As you prepare to lift the goblet, you remember to pause, settle in comfortably into your chair, as if settling into the story itself. The gentle murmur around you seems to dim, inviting you deeper into this velvety evening. The Mandrake-infused wine promises a unique experience favored among royals seeking an escape from their earthly burdens. Rumor has it, this enlivening brew was a staple in the courts. You take a sip, a subtle spiciness tingling on your tongue, followed by a wave of warmth spreading through your limbs, coaxing your muscles into a state of luxurious relaxation. From across the table, the royal alchemist, a wiry fellow with spectacles perched on his nose, catches your eye. "Fascinating thing, isn't it?" he murmurs. "Mandrake root mysterious, albeit a touch unreliable. Historians still debate whether it truly holds such magic." You nod, indulging in the thought that perhaps some magic should remain unproven, a glimmer of wonder to keep alive. You feel the effects taking hold in a gentle crescendo first, in a wave of drowsiness that washes over you, yet there's an undeniable euphoria bubbling under the surface. Your senses feel heightened, the sounds of the room more vibrant, the colors richer, the air sweeter. A whimsical side effect, perhaps you muse, as the feline form of Duchess, Lila, the resident castle cat, saunters by. With a nonchalant flick of her tail, she seems to glance your way, her eyes glinting with a knowing that makes you chuckle to yourself. Why not converse with a cat? Tonight it seems all things possible. The night deepens as the wine courses through those gathered softening voices into murmurs punctuated by laughter that dances like twinkling stars around the room. Someone nudges your elbow, using the edge of their plate as if on cue. With the comedic timing of the evening, you smile, soaking in the harmony of these moments threaded with the magic of hesitation and anticipation. These grand halls hold many secrets you realize as the evening curls around you like a well-worn cloak. Secret recipes like the Mandrake wines are the tapestry of royal intrigue and indulgence. Yet you feel the cozy embrace of history's embrace, as if whispering all these tales are yours to dream about under the starlit canopy of your mind. As the candles burn low, their light softening into a golden haze, you let out a long, contented sigh. Here in the comfort of history's arms, you rest, leaving reality behind, like the closing of a heavy velvet curtain to the outside world. A vast desert night stretches out before you, dotted with countless shimmering stars overhead. You've traveled through time to stand among the ancient sands of Egypt, where secrets whisper in the cool night air. Shadows cast by the luminous moon dance over the lips of pyramids still whole in their grandeur. It's quiet, peaceful, and if you listen closely enough, perhaps you'll catch wind of tales long forgotten. As you take in the scene around you somewhat distractedly, your guide nudges you playfully and warns. Watch out, or you might not make it back to your cozy bed. These stories can sweep you right off your feet. You smile, feeling the warmth of the gentle jest, and take a moment to adjust to this age-old environment. With pyramids behind you and the clear night sky above, you're reminded, before settling in deeper, there's a task at hand. Take a breath. Let the world slow down around you and gently reach out. Like the video and subscribe, but only if weaving among shadows of yesteryears brings you tranquility. Share where you're tuning in from and what time this historical hideaway finds you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Underneath the watchful gaze of Osiris, the sands seem almost alive with history. It's said that a select group of priests, their robes brushing the earth as they walked, placed offerings at the god's feet. Trays of poppy seeds, tiny, near invisible in the sand, captured by moonlight, were set down, not for their beauty, but for the dreams they believed would follow. You find yourself standing by, watching these priests as they move with solemn dedication. Life in ancient Egypt wasn't just a hustle of toiling under the sun. It was a dance with the divine, a pursuit of the beyond. You wonder if they ever truly believed in the dreams these seeds might conjure, or if it was more a ritual of hope, a nightly prayer wrapped in symbolism. Walking gently upon the firm sand, you chance upon a young priest who stops to adjust his robe. "Strange, isn't it?" he murmurs, his voice as soft as the wind. "To scatter seeds in the breeze, hoping for whispers from distant realms." You chuckle thinking about all the bizarre things people do in sleep. Almost as strange as counting sheep, I suppose. You muse, making him smile. Historical records leave gaps. That much you know. Scholars still debate whether these rituals were meant to incite dreams in the priests themselves, or in Osiris, persuading the god to send messages in slumber. The priest beside you looks up at the night sky, the vast velvet canopy filled with myth and memory, as if awaiting those celestial secrets. Each seed represents a promise you think of contact with the divine. Poppy seeds, known for their sleep-inducing properties, were cultivated in Egypt and might have been part of medicinal practices. But here they are more than mere plant matter. They become a bridge to another realm, a testament of faith layered gently upon the ground. As your eyes follow the lines of the statues, reaching into the starry expanse, you can't help but imagine, did Osiris accept these offerings? Did he awaken in a dream, surrounded by the scent of opium? The walls of his afterworld painted by the prayers of mortals. A breeze dusts the ground with fine sand, and you pull your robes tighter, feeling the cool of the desert night seep through to your skin. You exhale slowly, shoulders relaxing, as the story weaves around you. Osiris, a god known for judiciousness and resurrection powers, must have chuckled at such offerings in the quiet moments of eternity. You linger a moment longer in this tapestry of history, grounded by tangible rituals, ethereal dreams, and a sprinkle of ancient humor. As the air grows chilly, you idly wonder if there's some forgotten method to insulate against the relentless tickling of sand in open sandals. In the quiet intimacy shared with this moment, you realize perhaps it's not about the seeds themselves, but the belief they stir. It's a curious thought to carry with you back to your bed, where the world of dreams awaits. But for now, you're here on a timeless stroll. Through ancient belief, a gentle collision between dreams and reality, under a sky that keeps its secrets well. Stars twinkle wryly above, as if privy to a joke that's whispered through ages. With a light heart and ponderous thoughts, you take another step deeper into the historical echoes of the night. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and the local time in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you stand here in the inky darkness, the air is filled with the scent of damp earth and reeds. You hold a piece of papyrus that promises to unveil a ritual for soaring above the Nile. It's a musty ancient document, its edges frayed, impregnated with dreams of an era long past. You wrap the scroll tightly to avoid any errant desert breeze, whisking it away, a learned habit, after the unfortunate incident with your last papyrus encounter. Nearby a scholar, his long robes fluttering like the wings you yearn for, remarks, The translation is still contested. You nod sagely, trying your best to appear scholarly. Inside, you can't help but chuckle at the thought that if they had airplanes, these debates might be a bit different. You walk along the riverbank, the thick sediment beneath your sandals, sticking just enough to remind you of the earth's unyielding grip. The temple ruins ahead cast long shadows that reach out, like fingers yearning to hold the past. This is where you've decided to undertake the ritual. The walls here speak not with a voice, but with hieroglyphs of dancing gods and kings, all aspiring perhaps to the same skyward escape you contemplate tonight. As you prepare, you ponder the stories behind the artifacts etched into the stone powerful pharaohs, lavishly portrayed in triumphal processions, each craving a place among the celestial bodies. An owl hoots from the silhouettes of columns overhead. Perhaps an ancient spirit, lingering curious about this modern seeker of the skies. With measured breaths, you unfurl the papyrus once more. It speaks of a chant meant to transcend earthly bounds. You whisper the words, marveling at a language both foreign and familiar. Rise with the feather light as breath weightless as the sun's first kiss. Historians still argue whether these chants were literal or an elaborate metaphor for enlightenment. You choose to believe just for a moment that rising might involve more than philosophical elevation. Who knows? Maybe the ancients knew something about gravity that's eluded modern science. Do you really think this will lift you off the ground? A fellow traveler asks, their skepticism palpable. You shrug and grin, knowing full well that the result might not defy physics, but will surely defy the mundane. After all, if ancient Egyptians managed building monuments visible from space, surely a small levitation isn't far-fetched. The night deepens, stars peeking timidly between plush clouds. You close your eyes and focus on the words as they roll off your tongue with a rhythm that finds harmony with the river's gentle current. An odd sensation creeps in. You swear. The ground beneath you shifts, almost imperceptibly. But buckle your feet tighter against it, just in case you've really unlocked some aerial secret of the ancients. Your stomach flutters with a mix of anticipation, excitement, and a splash of self-doubt, the kind born of equally improbable dreams as attempting to rise without wings. You exhale slowly, feeling a sense of calm wash over you. The universe seems to listen. The wind, the water, and the heavens all holding their breath in unison. Another voice, soft and lilting, reaches you from across the waves. Perhaps it worked once, and that's all that matters. You smile, imagining a different time when whispers truly did make one rise, if only in spirit. As the last notes of the chant dissolve into the night, you open your eyes, surrounded by the serenity of the sleeping Nile. The moment extends, stretching thin over time's wide river. You may not be soaring above the sands just yet, but you've already risen in ways you hadn't anticipated. Some say our true wings are forged from belief and imagination, and tonight you've briefly tasted both. The air around you carries a heavy, sweet scent that clings to the inside of your nostrils as you stand in a dim chamber filled with sorrow and smoke. The rituals have begun, marking the path of passage for someone dearly loved and lost. You watch the flickering of flames casting jittery shadows on the stone walls, their warmth a soft whisper against your skin amidst the cooler air of the room. In your hand, a small leather pouch filled with mysterious herbs and resins rests lightly. You can feel the mix shifting with each step. You take a blend of frankincense and myrrh that lends an earthy, pungent undertone to this momentous occasion. As the contents hit the flames, a cloud of aromatic smoke unfurls, wafting upwards to coil lazily under the low ceiling. You notice the people around you, the mourning family and friends, their faces reflecting a spectrum of emotions from devastating sadness to an almost serene tranquility. You can't help but wonder if, had they lived in these ancient times, those faces could still crack jokes in the face of mortality. Perhaps there's a humor in the absurdity of life and death that no era can suppress. Historians still debate the strangeness of this practice, whether the smoke's effect, the slight giddiness, or unexpected tears was purely intentional, or just a mystical side effect. You ponder this as you feel your own heavy eyelids drooping, your self-awareness drifting slightly. Was it meant to be a balm for the soul, or simply an unpredictable element woven into the fabric of these archaic ceremonies? As the ancient texts suggest, the rich mix of resins and herbs often had mild hallucinogenic effects. It's an odd notion, isn't it, that in the midst of grief, the mourners could find themselves chuckling at something entirely otherworldly. The young woman next to you wipes a tear, but her lips curve into a wistful, almost bemused smile. "He would have loved this." She whispers her words, barely audible over the low hum of chants. Unperturbed, the ritual continues, each aromatic infusion symbolizing another farewell, further sealing the body in a cocoon of sacred substances meant to preserve and honor. The scents mingle in a heady blend, evoking images of distant lands and forgotten times. You close your eyes briefly, letting the echoes of the past wash over you. Your mind drifts back to the stories you've read of how the Egyptians mastered these embalming arts long before many could fathom the concept of eternity they seemed to chase. They believed that the dead would require not just physical preservation, but a spiritual journey guided by these potions, borne on smoke, gifting them glimpses beyond the veil. You chuckle internally as you imagine how modern folks would line up for a chance at enlightenment, blissfully unaware of the ancient origins of their spiritual experiences. There's a sense of peace in this room, surprising perhaps, given the circumstances. It's as though every exhalation sends out a plea, a hope, for understanding that connects the living and the lost in an unbroken, if faintly scented, thread. You think about how our ancient counterparts found wisdom in such deeply primal connections, teachings passed down in hushed tones and smoke-filled visions. A soft gust of wind slips through an unseen crack, swirling the smoke into intricate patterns. Each passerby seems to walk not just in footsteps, but in a rite that carries them beyond the moment. You imagine them easily slipping into myths where gods say their farewells and fires light the path through the underworld. Indeed, the very whisper of time seems to hover here, elusive yet tangible, like the faint tickle of laughter you didn't expect to find amidst sorrow. Yet here it is, a tapestry of emotions, suspended in sacred space, a nod to the unpredictable mixture of life itself. As the embers slowly dim, the warmth begins to fade from the room, leaving behind the cool, earthy presence of stone more prominent now. The mourners begin to disperse their quiet murmurs filling the chamber, as footsteps carry them back to the realm of the living, changed, however, subtly by the quiet enchantment of ancient rites. You follow, stepping lightly over the threshold, back into the night air. It's as if the stars themselves have been refreshed by the long-held traditions, their twinkle brighter, more vivid now against the indigo sky. As you walk away, you carry with you the lingering essence of the evening tangled with thoughts of eternity and remembrance. And at that moment you can't help but smile as you wonder how many others, perhaps just like yourself, stepped out of similar halls in ages past. How many felt the comfort of shared loss and the slight absurdity of knowing it might have all been part of a grand cosmic joke. You step lightly across the cool, polished stone floor of the banquet hall, where the candlelight flickers off the ornate tapestries that speak silently of battles and victories won. The scent of rosemary and thyme accompanies the roasted pheasant, inviting you into a space that feels both timeless and immediate. Your fingers brush lightly against a rough-hewn wooden table laden with figs, dates, and honeyed pastries, their sweetness tinging the air. Listen to the hum of conversations, the gentle clinking of silverware, and the occasional burst of laughter, a tapestry of sounds that entwines with the melody of a soft lute playing in the background. You watch as your host, the noble of the estate, raises a glass in toast. His eyes twinkle like the stars above as he regales his guests with tales from distant lands, a merchant's son climbing the heights of society with every breathless adventure. Just a whisper away, two guests recline, speaking of the stars, their words soft as they trace constellations, only they seem to understand. Above them, the sky is a deep ocean of dark velvet, dotted with diamonds, each one carrying a story as old as time. You wonder if they believe, as some ancient cultures did, that the stars were the campfires of the gods, flickering across the heavens. Historians still debate whether this particular gathering occurred in reality, or if it was merely a moment in folklore stitched together like the quilt of stories passed down through generations. What is certain, however, is that such banquets were common, a place where politics mixed with pleasure, where alliances were forged over the rim of goblets filled with grape's finest product. Nearby, an old man with a beard, wisps thin and silver like wisps of smoke, shares an odd fact. The great philosopher Pythagoras, he claims, believed that the harmony of the spheres was not a mere mathematical pursuit, but a song the cosmos itself whispered to the learned and wise. Stars you see, he says with a wink, are more than just light. They're the shimmering messengers of the universe. The night stretches on, and as you recline deeper into the cushions piled high upon a low dais, you feel the warm glow of the room enveloping you like a gentle living thing. It's serene, this kind of atmosphere, a vibe, as modern archaeologists might quip, that transcends the ages. In the faintly glimmering reflection of your goblet, you catch the scene, A sea of content faces, swaying languidly to the rhythm of conversation and the wine-induced haze. The lull in your mind wonders about the secrets held within these walls, those whisperings of stars pulled down from the sky by wise old men and wrapped into legends that would dance across the fires of another night. A serving girl passes by, her hair braided and tied with thin strings of gold. In her hands, she carries a plate of pigeon pies, the scent oozing buttery warmth. She smiles, offering the platter with a gentle nod. For strength, she teases, eyes twinkling, as though she herself carried a piece of the night's mysteries within her. Her voice is light, reminiscent of wind brushing through olive trees. You take a pastry, the flaky crust melting upon your tongue, and feel the day giving way to night, the energy of the room gently turning into the kind of contentment that comes only after a good meal and better conversation. An adventurous thought crosses your mind. What tales could these walls tell if they spoke? What laughter and secrets are woven into their very foundations? And just like that, you find your gaze drifting back to the stars, pondering if they might be peeking down, sharing their own secrets with those wise enough to listen. As the moon sails higher in the sky, the music softens. You hear a gentle chuckle nearby. Did you know, someone says lazily, that the Romans used to believe it was bad luck to look at a solar eclipse without protection? They thought it was the sun's way of frightening away the unworthy. You chuckle at this curious bit of history, pondering how snugly it fits within the tapestry of stories unfolding around you. The night deepens, and you feel the steady pull of sleep as the conversations around you grow quieter. The reclining guests continue their hushed exchange about the mysteries of the cosmos, their words just a melodic thread in the whispering night. As you lay back against the cushion, the fabric cool against your skin, you let the gentle rhythm of the night carry you away. The stars overhead dazzle in their ancient pattern, ever watchful, ever mysterious. You close your eyes, surrounded by the ambiance of this timeless feast, letting yourself drift into a reverie where every star holds a secret and every whisper becomes a story. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from, so post your location and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing in a dimly lit chamber, the earthy smell of stone and ancient dust surrounding you. The walls around you are adorned with curious paintings, men bowing deeply before towering stalks topped with radiant caps that seem to glow even in this shadowy space. Historians still debate whether these caps were meant to represent divine fungi or the artist simply had an avant-garde touch. You might chuckle to yourself at the thought of an ancient people investing so much in a glowing vegetable garden. But as you look closer, the solemnity in their postures suggests something deeply reverent. As you walk slowly under the paintings, the path beneath your feet feels cool and smooth, worn down by centuries of ceremonial footsteps. You tap your foot quietly against the floor, wondering if the echo within this chamber ever shifted into a chant or prayer. Sometimes you think silence itself can echo the loudest of stories, like this one you're about to unravel. Curiosity heightens as you consider the men depicted in the artwork. What truths did they hold dear? What stories whispered through their shared consciousness? The answer perhaps lies just beyond those symbolic illustrations. A voice inside your head playfully urges, "It's fungi after all." Maybe it has all the mushroom for interpretation. In the hush around you, a faint murmur catches your attention. It's almost as if the stone walls themselves were leaning in to listen. The fungus speaks, echoes, a soft, gravelly whisper, imagined on the lips of an unseen priest. You can't help but wonder if those words were meant to be heard by human ears, or if they're just an eternal whispering between the fungi and the divine. Whatever the case, it looks like someone forgot to deactivate history's eavesdrop feature. Before moving on, you pause to appreciate the meticulous artistry of the paintings. The pigments derived from crushed minerals and natural elements could have been applied by hands, long since turned to dust. You brush your fingertips lightly against the wall as if perhaps the DNA of those ancient artists might pass a message along to you. No luck, though. It seems they'll keep their secrets a while longer. A draft creeps into the room from a hidden corridor beyond, carrying with it a cooler air tinged with moisture and something earthy. It's the scent of growth, of decay, and of timelessness, wrapped together like a tightly woven tale from long ago. A whispered conversation drifts by your ears once more, carried by the stirring air, like myth and reality walking side by side. Historians still ponder if these depictions were spiritual allegory, or simply a fondness for strange gardening habits. The mystery draws you further into the heart of this ancient world, and step by step you are enveloped by its tales. You begin to feel a kind of kinship with these long-ago artists and priests, who were perhaps much like you, seekers of understanding. Or, if you let your half-serious side run wild, perhaps a little too fond of their hallucinogenic horticultural experiments. As you continue your exploration, you hear gentle voices, almost like those of children playing, though there's no one to be seen. Just the narrative of times long past captured in echoes. You glance back at the murals one last time. The final flickering torchlight highlights the softness of the men's bowed heads as the mysterious stalks catch your eye again, strangely wise and timeless. If only plants could give TED Talks. With a quiet assurance, you move forward, stepping into a more intimate space where the air feels warmer and the light dimmed lends a gentle comfort. Here, with each passing breath, the pace slows, inviting your incoming dreams to take root in curiosity and ancient stories, long adrift on forgotten winds. As your eyelids grow heavier, mirroring the calm with which mysteries reveal themselves, you realize that sometimes the best answers are those whispered softly among the rustling leaves of our imaginations. With a soft rustle and the flicker of a lone candle lighting the musty chamber, you find yourself amidst towering shelves lined with aged parchment and frayed scrolls. The air is heavy with the scent of ink and aged leather. Your nose tingles as dust swirls lightly under the candle's glow. You run your fingers over the rough surface of a clay tablet, wondering which ancient hands once held these same edges. The flickering flame casts playful shadows, setting the stage for tonight's exploration into a world of scribes and scrolls from long ago. But as your eyes scan the shelves, they land on a particular piece, an unassuming scroll nestled between more worn pieces. Its contents, however, tell a different story altogether. The writing on this scroll seems well unhinged, looping and careening across the page, as if the scribe had suddenly developed a taste for dance mid-sentence. You envision the scribe, perhaps a bit too generous with the wine rations, that day desperately trying to maintain his wits as the ink wobbled under his hand. With a light-hearted grin, you remember that even scribes were only human. Too much wine reads a small, cheeky note at the bottom, as if acknowledging the chaos of penmanship with a wink and a nod. You try to stifle a chuckle, but it slips out, carrying through the still air with ease. This playful entry sits amidst records and serious accountings, a standout amongst the usually somber notes of temple proceedings. Temples, after all, were centers of learning and governance in ancient civilizations, often storing knowledge on everything from the mundane to the divine. These were the sites of spiritual and political orchestration, a place for prescribed order and routine, until, of course, a scribe had one drink too many and decided to challenge the system in his own scribbly way. Pondering the fact, your mind drifts to the thought of whether this scribe faced the music for their inebriated artistry, or if their peers simply had a good-natured laugh. Historians, after all, still debate the leniency granted to scribes who were both essential record keepers and peripheral players in ancient dramas. The room seems to swell with the whisperings of long-past lives. You close your eyes and picture a grand temple courtyard under a powder blue sky, where you are surrounded by the quiet bustle of religious rites and the murmured chants of priests. The stones beneath your feet are cool and solid, yet your thoughts drift further back, envisioning how many wayward writers managed to sneak some personal flair into official documentation. An understated legacy of humor deep within the stacks. Outside the temple walls, commerce and politics intermingle under the watchful gaze of mighty deities. Intricate carvings of mythical creatures adorn the stone surfaces, seeming to shimmer as the day wanes. You can't help but wonder if similar scribbles found their way into documents elsewhere. One of the many small rebellions against the rigidity of ancient bureaucracy. You muse over this while climbing a worn staircase that spirals upward, the ancient stone cool under your fingers as you ascend. Each step reverberates softly, the rising echoes soothing in their repetitiveness. As you reach the upper floors, an archway beckons with promises of more discoveries, new artifacts, and perhaps a window into another moment of levity hidden in ink and time. The evening stretches, wrapping its gentle hands around the temple. And you, as you wander through corridors, lined with yet more of civilization's faint whispers on weathered parchment. Your imagination leads you along paths, long tread by sandals, through bustling marketplaces where spices fill the air, to the quietude of a scribe's chamber. You pause at each new find, engaging with the remnants of ages past that defy the straightforward paths laid out for them. And always that singular note rings softly in the back of your mind, a reminder that history is written by imperfect hands with imperfect stories. and that even amidst the order of temple lore, a scribe once chose to leave a page of joyful anarchy behind, all because of one mischievous cup of wine. As you meander through this library of lives, you take comfort in the idea that perhaps more of these small humanizing notes are left to be found. You can't help but laugh a little at the absurdity and shared humanity woven through it all. Shoulders relax, and the weights of your own world feel just a bit lighter. The ancient scribes granting both wisdom and a break from seriousness. The nights here are long and warm, blessed with a quiet that intertwines with your thoughts, nudging you gently toward other dreams and possibilities as you let the candles glow guide your way page by delightful page. The sky stretches endlessly above you, a rich tapestry of blues and purples. You stand at the edge of a bustling market in ancient Thebes, the scent of spices and river reeds tickling your nose. Around you, merchants haggle passionately over dates and pottery, their voices blending into a melodic symphony. You feel the cool, dusty breeze against your face as you stroll beside the chattering crowd. Amid the lively scene, you pause by a storyteller, his voice capturing both young and old. He gestures wildly, his eyes wide, with the zeal of his tale. A tale of the Nile turning red, not with the threat of disaster, but in a reflection of dreams and ambitions. Long ago, he begins, the waters shimmered with the desires of those who dwelt along its banks. They say it was a message from the gods, a glimpse into the realms of the divine. You nod, following the ebb and flow of the storyteller's cadence. As you wander further along the river's edge, the coolness of night approaches. Palm trees sway gently, and you realize that you've stumbled into a scene as ancient as time itself. You spot a group of fishermen casting nets with practiced ease. One of them, spotting your interest, waves you over. "Join us," he calls with a grin, "and see if you can catch a dream or two." Kneeling beside them, you help pull a net from the water. It's surprisingly heavy, dragging your arms downward. For a moment, you imagine it's not fish, but the weight of all the dreams of Thebes that rests within. A thought passes through your mind, the gods find it amusing. All these dreams tucked into the Nile like notes in a bottle. A fine night for fishing. One of the men remarks, his voice barely rising above the gentle splashes. You share a smile, feeling the cool water drip from your fingers. Historians still debate whether these tales of the river's magical transformations hold any truth, or if it's just wine that has lost its way after a particularly festive banquet. Walking further, the river song accompanies you, murmuring secrets in its ancient voice. You pass by towering papyrus reeds, imagining how they might sway to mysterious tunes when no one is watching. Up ahead, you spot another group, women filling clay jars with water. Their laughter is soft but infectious, and you can't help but grin. Do the dreams make the water heavier? You overhear one ask her companion, letting loose a melodic chuckle. A breeze rustles through, carrying with it the scent of blossoms from far along the banks. You spy a lone ibis perched on a stone, its eyes wise and ancient, as if it has witnessed every story ever told under the Egyptian sky. You wonder if even the birds dream. Along with the river their flight along its banks, a dance seen only by the stars. Glancing at the sky, you catch sight of the first stars, peeking timidly through the dusk. Perhaps they too are captivated by the river's enigmatic embrace. The humor isn't lost on you thinking of how many knees this river has cooled, how many dreams it has cradled in its laughably long lifetime. With the setting sun painting the world in hues of gold and crimson, you feel a quiet awe at the eternal passage of life beside these waters. Perhaps the Nile really does run red with dreams by the light of dusk's gentle sigh. No longer do you chase the world. Instead, you walk with it, hand in hand, with those timeless currents, stepping lightly on the path where the past meets the present under a dusky Egyptian sky. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to post your location and local time so we know when our story reaches you. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As the evening settles, the air becomes heavy with the sweet scent of flowers and warm, soothing spices. You walk along a pathway made of finely packed earth, each step releasing the fragrance of desert blooms. The sky above is the deep inky blue of night, and a sea of stars twinkling like countless eyes, watching over the festivity below. You find yourself drawn to the rhythmic beats that pulse through the air, the drums speaking a language all their own, inviting you to move closer. People of every age fill the open space. Some stand in groups talking animatedly, laughter dancing with the music. Others sway rhythmically, feeling the presence of Hathor in every note, every shared smile. You can sense their connection to something both grander and more personal than mere celebration. Perhaps you think this is how they touch the divine through joy, through music. Historians still debate whether Hathor herself truly graced these gatherings, or if her presence was felt purely in spirit. As you watch, a performer's shadow flickers against the torch-lit walls, suggesting mystery, beauty, and a playful wink from the goddess herself. Observing the scene more closely, you notice a table adorned with fresh blossoms, everything from lotus flowers to the richly scented lilies. As you gently brush your fingers through the petals, the vibrant colors remind you of the sunset captured in living form. Each flower seems to vibrate with its own secret tune, as if whispering tales of ancient joys to anyone willing to stop and listen. A soft voice draws your attention to a woman standing nearby, an armful of flowers cascading downwards like a fragrant waterfall. They say Hathor's music is woven into their veins, she says, smiling wryly. But watch out. Lose yourself too long and you might become history yourself. You chuckle, taking in the light-hearted warning. The notion of losing time feels less concerning under the spell of this night. You mingle with the crowd, feeling the porous boundary between past and present reality and myth, blurring until you can't quite tell where one ends and the other begins. The festival carries on a revolving door of ever-changing sights and sounds. You take a seat near a group of musicians, their hands moving deftly over instruments, lyres, sistra, and flutes. Each note they play interweaves with the nervous heartbeat that quickens in your chest, syncing your very essence with the melodies around you. It's as though the music is guiding you one beautiful note at a time into the welcoming arms of dreams. A cool breeze brushes against your cheeks as someone offers you a cup filled with a sweet-scented drink. You hesitate, remembering tales of the intoxicating drinks served at these festivals, potions that opened the mind to far-off realms of imagination and delight. You accept the drink, feeling the night embrace you a little tighter with each sip. With a gentle shiver, you begin to wonder, did these ancient people truly believe the goddess herself was watching, blessing their joy? To them, Hathor represented the beauty in every sound and every moment, the delight found in simple pleasures. You find yourself smiling as a child dashes past, trailing laughter like the wake of a swift-running stream, their purity and happiness echoing Hathor's spirit 1,000 times over. As the night stretches on, you observe an elder regaling a captive group with stories, his voice weaving tales rich with humor and wisdom, like old threads newly spun. And so the stars sang for Hathor, he says, gesturing upwards. Or maybe she was just a really good listener. He adds, his eyes twinkling like those distant celestial gems. Above the constellation, Orion stands tall, watching over festivities, both past and present. You begin to feel the tug of time slipping further away, hours passing like the grains of sand under sun-drenched feet. It's as though your very being is turning with the night, savoring each moment, and secretly hoping that dawn never comes. In this place, with the soft hum of drums and peals of laughter surrounding you, you realize that sometimes losing track of time is the only way to truly find yourself. In the gentle embrace of the night, under the watchful eyes of Hathor, and the myriad stories told in twinkling stars, you finally allow your shoulders to relax, your breaths to slow. You lean back, feeling the firm support of the earth beneath you, as the festival continues to spin its magic around your heart. As the golden light of dawn stretches across an ancient city, you walk across a dusty expanse, where builders gather the chill of early morning, just giving way to warmth. A rare scroll whispers of this exact day, a peculiar blend of tradition and whimsy. In the midst of organized chaos, where bricks are meticulously stacked and wood beams lay waiting, a notable figure emerges, the foreman carrying a cask of date wine. It's not every day you see such an unusual twist to a work morning, which leaves you wondering what might come next. He calls the workers together, and there's a collective pause. Tools are laid down with a chorus of clinks. The air is filled with a symphony of questions and quizzical looks. Today, he announces with an authoritative yet strangely jovial tone, we build differently. A murmur ripples through the crowd, and you catch a hint of excitement mingling with confusion. You can't help but smile at the thought of what differently might entail. You observe, as the foreman pours the sweet golden liquid into clay cups, each one careful in his hands, as if he were handling a delicate scroll. It seems perhaps a peculiar strategy to spark creativity or chaos. Historians still debate whether this was an ingenious move or merely an attempt to lighten spirits on an otherwise ordinary workday. You watch the workers take hesitant sips, their brows unfurrowing as smiles begin to spread. With the first taste, the sun seems to shine just a bit brighter, coloring the whole scene in warmth. The initial rigidity of the crew softens, and a sense of team forms. Suddenly, it's as if an invisible thread binds them, inspiring laughter and camaraderie, which can diffuse even the most tedious of tasks. Instructions are called out sporadic, at first, then more confidently, as the workers find rhythm. You notice them trying innovative techniques, stacking stones in novel ways, perhaps leaning more than one might typically find comfortable. It occurs to you that creativity might indeed be born from just such interruptions of norm. Around you, the clatter of construction resumes. Boots shuffle across stone wood creaks as it's laid, yet there's a noticeable lightness in the air. Voices lilt with a certain musicality, a far cry from the usual barking of commands that might punctuate a day like this. It's a scene almost out of a playful dream dance mingling with architecture. You meander through the site, catching snippets of conversation, some pondering the ancient art of symmetry, others simply deciding on a whim. Do you think they'll stand? One worker asks with a sly grin, pointing to a newly aligned yet slightly off-kilter wall. Only if the wind agrees, his companion replies with a laugh. Walking past, you wonder how this day will find its way into the annals of time. Will it be the day artistry found its footing amidst foundation, or simply a footnote of frivolity? One joke echoes in your mind. Imagine archaeologists in 1,000 years scratching their heads. Why didn't they stack straight? They'll sip their tea and blame it on seismic activity. You think with a chuckle. As the day stretches on and shadows begin to lengthen, the structure grows. Slowly, immersing in the hum of labor, you can almost feel the heartbeat of the city pulsate through the dust and laughter. It's as if you stand on the precipice of both history and myth, with only time deciding the tale's true nature. Despite the unconventional start, the work continues, and you realize the ingenuity of the day. It was an experiment in letting go, allowing the builders to engage in their craft with unfettered imagination and a touch of reckless precision. A testament, perhaps, to the idea that order can flourish even amidst a little chaos. As the workers prepare to wrap up, the foreman raises his cup one last time, a silent salute to a day. History might debate but never forget. You find a perch amidst the rubble, watching as the sun dips below the horizon, casting the site in a gentle glow. For you, it may have started as a simple tale of builders and bricks, but it concludes as a soft lullaby of creativity, nurtured in an ancient world, sleepily tucked away for history to remember, or perhaps to dream anew. Even commoners were buried with petals. It wasn't wealth, it was a wish. Let my spirit bloom in joy. You stand in the heart of a bustling village market, the scent of blooming flowers mixing with the earthy tones of fresh produce. Brightly colored stalls line the cobbled street, each boasting wares that range from glistening fabrics to carved trinkets. You wander past a stall selling garlands of dried petals, each vibrant and carefully threaded, reminding you of the reverence the villagers hold for these delicate blooms. You pause, marveling at the simplicity and beauty of this practice. History whispers that even those without wealth were wrapped in petaled shrouds, not out of luxury, but in pursuit of a serene afterlife. Imagine if each shopping trip came with a bouquet. You think Riley watching a merchant meticulously arrange his floral offerings. This custom is as ancient as it is charming a fact, not lost on you as you try to recall that one lecture about funerary rites from bygone eras. No doubt you should have been paying better attention. Laughter echoes around you, children racing past, dodging between legs, and carrying the carefree spirit that fills the village air. As you meander further, your feet guide you toward a small flower shop tucked between grander storefronts. It's run by an elderly man whose hands are as gnarled as the ancient oak tree supposedly perched on a hill nearby. His eyes twinkle mischievously when you enter, as if he knows more secrets about life's ephemeral beauty than he's letting on. "Ah, the gentleman who dreams with flowers," he says, chuckling softly. "Did you know where even kings lay upon beds of roses, our simple kin chose these?" His gesture encompasses the spectrum of blooms surrounding you. You nod, feigning knowledge. Historians still debate whether they thought these petals could really guarantee happiness in the beyond. You respond, fingers brushing lightly over the flower's velvety surfaces. Yes, the scholars he muses, plucking a vibrant petal, only to let the breeze carry it away gently, yet feel the peace in their simplicity, in wishes woven through petals. He hands you a small bouquet, an offer of history, of hope, maybe even humor in its petals. It's hard not to sense a sort of magic here. The colors, their faded vibrance cradling the air with warmth, a bit like the old tapestries you were always sure weren't really whispering as the wind ruffled them, but, well, maybe they were. Walking out into the street, the laughter of the children has somehow deepened, echoes bouncing off cobblestones as the sun dips lower. You can almost feel the petals' whispers in the air. Let spirits bloom in joy. It leaves you pondering whether ancient folks ever sat toes, buried in cool earth underneath sprawling skies, staring at nothing and everything, hoping their next life was a riot of colors too. As you blend back into the rhythm of the village, the sun begins its descent in earnest. Shadows lengthen like stories unfolding around you, casting golden light over the chatter and bustle. The village hums about its ancient rituals, each bloom a silent storyteller, singing tales of those laid to rest in the hopes of eternal happiness among fields of flowers. You can't help but smile slightly, teeth glinting against the warm light, indulging in the irony of how much simpler customs seem than today's convoluted funeral industries. All this thought about old versus new makes your mind spin as your feet still wander aimlessly around the marketplace. Rounding a corner, you nearly stumble into a merchant setting up his evening stall. He offers you a knowing smile, a cloth bundle tucked under his arm. Careful. He laughs, his voice a melody of polite warnings. Wouldn't want to fall over with thoughts of blooms in your head. You chuckle deeply, grateful for his banter that lightens the weighted thoughts in your mind, like a gust of wind catching an old, weathered petal, setting it off into the unknown and unexpected. Not if I want a soft landing, you reply, referencing the petals everyone speaks of. It's easy to see how allure and mystery intertwine here with history's tendrils wrapping gently around life's simple moments, binding present and past. An ox cart rattles by its wheels, creaking over stones. You sigh a gentle breath, escaping as day's end draws near, and shadows weave longer tales across your path. Your curiosity lures you further deeper into daydreams of the past. You're picturing old rituals, simple yet resounding with meaning. Those once hidden things you never truly forced yourself to learn back in some dim library corner now ebb and flow around you as vividly as the flowers themselves, a geography of spirits and petals unfolding softly at your feet. You find yourself in a moonlit garden where the air is filled with the delicate scent of jasmine. Here, the world is quieter, muted, in a way that lets your other senses take the lead. The soil beneath your toes is cool, and the rustling of nearby leaves offers a soft, rhythmic backdrop. Ahead you glimpse a dancer, and what strikes you first is her absolute stillness, like a painting waiting to come to life. Then she begins to move. There's no music, no discernible beat, but each step is a note in an unplayed symphony. Her eyes are closed, lips curved into a serene smile, as if she's sharing a secret with a world that only she can see. You wonder what kind of confidence it takes to dance to music that exists only in your mind. Historians still debate whether this was madness or genius. You recall someone saying, and for a moment you think it could be both. The dancer whispers of a lotus, a flower known for its beauty, but also for its mystery, having been revered in cultures for centuries as a symbol of purity and enlightenment. She claims it sings to her, conjuring images of petals harmonizing in the twilight. You chuckle softly. Singing flowers now, that's a tune you'd love to hum along to. Your attention is pulled back as a gentle breeze brushes against your skin. You can't help but notice the peculiar setting around you. The garden seems like a relic of time, where ancient shears may have trimmed infinite hedges long before you wandered here. You wonder who cared for this place once, and if they too listened for the lotus's whispered songs. Philosophical debates aside, the scent of the lotus, coupled with the moonlight, subdues your skepticism. You try to let your own muscles relax, moving just a little, mimicking her dance. Surprisingly, it feels natural, as if the garden itself is offering guidance. A soft laugh escapes you. Here you are indulging in a whimsical night dance, half expecting a chorus of flowers to join in. It's a moment where the ordinary beliefs of reality blur with the tantalizing potential of dreams. You think of how in ancient Egypt, dancers performed in sacred rituals, moving as if guided by invisible forces, just as the gods might have whispered in their ears too. The lotus was sacred there, representing the resurgence of life, much like how the dancer here breathes life into the night. The dancer's smile seems to grow wider, as if she hears your thoughts, or perhaps the amusement in them, and the possibility electric in the air. You wonder briefly if this is what magic truly is, not the grand spectacles, but the small moments where belief dances on the edge of what might simply be. You lean slightly against a stone pillar, cool to the touch, as you let your eyes wander across the garden. Each shadow plays its part in this silent performance. And if you listen closely, the world indeed hums along. the subtle sigh of the wind, the rustle of leaves, even the distant call of a night bird. It all forms a symphony you never knew you were a part of. You still wonder if it's all in her head, don't you? The dancer's voice carries gently over her eyes still shut as she spins. And maybe it is, but would that make it any less real? You smile, nodding to yourself, because in stories like these, reality is more about experience than fact. You take another step this time, more confident, caught up in the freedom of movement in a world that's as much imagined as real. It's here in this dance without music that you realize the night's blending the lines, not just of sound and silence, but of belief and imagination. You exhale, watching the mist of your breath join the ethereal dancers of the night breeze. As the moon casts its glow, you smile, knowing this intimate dance is perhaps more than just steps and turns. It's the whisper of history, the song of a lotus, and the gentle invitation of a dancer who moves without music, offering a glimpse into a world where mystery dances alive. In the dimly lit chamber of a resplendent palace, the air is thick with the earthy aroma of incense wafting around you, making your head feel just a tad lighter, as if you're on the verge of drifting off into a dream yourself. A vibrant tapestry depicting the gods in all their embellished glory squeezes your imagination a little tighter. The flickering oil lamps cast shadows that dance across the stone floor, accompanied by the distant hum of desert winds skimming over the palace walls. As you stand there trying not to trip over the edge of a royal rug, you find yourself in the peculiar company of the Pharaoh's dream interpreter. He fiddles with a roll of papyrus, offering you a sly smile as he catches your eye. He seems unnervingly amused by the mystique of it all, as if he knows a secret the rest of the world is too sober to understand. In this era, dreams are not just fleeting fancies, but messages from the gods themselves. Or if you're unlucky, it's just another effect of inhaling too much myrrh. You stifle a grin at this thought, imagining dreamless sleep disturbed only by the occasional mistake of breathing too deeply. The interpreter tells you that Pharaohs would often summon him, eager to make sense of the gods' nocturnal whisperings. His voice is soft, yet full of conviction. In the time of the great pharaohs, he says dreams could make or break an empire. You wonder if emperors and kings ever woke up confused, much like you do after particularly strange dreams, questioning what in the world witnessing your cat chasing a rainbow has to do with urgent matters of state. Your guide shares that dreams were a thriving matter of trade, sold, bought, and bartered like precious oils and silks, with interpretations carrying the weight of divine messages. The pharaoh might gain insight to conquer lands or receive a warning to steer clear of certain treacherous paths, all delivered through symbols only decipherable by those with an ear to the realms of the unseen. A marketplace of dreams, all subject to negotiation. The chamber's warmth cradles you as he continues explaining that some believe these interpretations were just clever guesswork cobbled together by the inventions of a skilled speaker. Historians today still debate whether the dream decoders truly held divine insight, or if they were simply unmatched in their abilities to weave a convincing tale. Oh, you think this setup is unusual? He chuckles, catching you mid-thought. Just wait until you see tomorrow's incense bath. You'll get a first-hand experience of what all the fuss is about. As the golden sunlight peeks through the high windows, the ornate figurines and the splendor begin to blur in your mind's eye, encouraging your energy to dip into restful musings. You marvel for a moment, truly wondering if the Pharaohs felt blessed or burdened by the responsibility of having the moods of deities to decipher through their dreams. He gestures for you to follow him through a corridor, leading you past rooms where air resonates with the gentle hum of ancient instruments, their strings soothingly plucked to accompany the rising sun. The sound resonates in your chest, like the heart keeps time with their rhythm. You pause, if just for a moment, questioning what messages your own nighttime visions might harbor, if only you had the right scroll to interpret them. An unexpected aroma fills the space next, beckoning curiosity. Sweet Lotus. The dream reader nods knowingly, catching your intent sniff as you approach another part of the palace. Better than the heavier stuff, let me tell you. Clearly, he's not about to disclose trade secrets today, so you merely go along with the journey. All around, walls adorned with intricate hieroglyphics tell their own stories, recounting tales of gods and creatures and kings enshrined in their eternal dance. A soft chuckle escapes your lips, noting that even amidst all this grandeur, ancient walls still have scribbles. Maybe even they were a test in divine patience. You know, the dream interpreter confides, echoing through the hall, being blessed with the skill to wade through the imagery between worlds isn't always as dreamy as it sounds. You glance at him, noting the gleam in his eye, and find yourself comfortably drifting into the uncertainty. After all, tales of papyrus-bound wisdom lining the corridors of time seem far better than any daytime report from your inbox. Gently, the shadows grow longer, nudging you toward rest. You wonder if, in another life, you too might have been wandering these hallways, trading insights as rare as gemstones, communicating with the gods through the language of dreams. With one last glance at the reflecting glow of torches on polished stone, the palace and its secrets offer their final good night. The warm, familiar tug of sleep lures you away, leaving only a lingering question in your mind: how often life might mirror those dreams, beckoning the magic of interpretation for all its many mysteries. And with that thought, the hum of the ancient melodies cradles you into a soft conclusion, the echoes of laughter and lore diminishing into sweet slumber. The last fleeting echoes of the day's vibrant colors fade into the night, as you find yourself soaring over the desert wonderment, coursing through every fiber of your being. Beneath you, the vast expanse of sand stretches infinitely bathed in the ghostly light of the waxing moon. But you're not confined to the physics of flight as we know it. You're buoyed here by something far more enchanting, a tantalizing blend of scent, chant, and belief, lifting you gently above the earth. It's a curious sensation, almost like that time you believed you could tackle an all-you-can-eat ice cream challenge. You probably won't survive this flight with any more composure than you did then, but the experience unforgettable. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. As you linger in the desert's embrace, post your location and local time in the comments. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You unfold into the story, just like a traveler, opening a map that unfolds under a starlit sky. A voice soft as the whisper of sands murmurs ancient chants. You recognize them as the very words intoned by the mystics of old, whose beliefs were so strong that they claimed to ride the skies without wings. It is said that the Sahara was once a sea, shimmering and alive, a fact confirmed by those strange seashell fossils discovered amidst the dunes. Historians debate whether these fossil remnants were revered by ancient peoples as evidence of hidden powers, or simply as curios, whispering of a time when the desert sighed with water instead of wind. Glancing down, you notice the patterns, spirals, and lines etched into the sand, their origins unknown. Some believe they're the remnants of forgotten rites, maybe even attempts at primitive crop circles. But tonight they serve as your runway, carefully guiding your path through this endless realm of openness and light. You inhale deeply, the cool desert breeze tingling against your nose with the faint whiff of spices, cumin cinnamon mixed with an undercurrent of floral heat, like jasmines blooming in secret. Somewhere just outside the edge of imagination, the caravans carry their vibrant wares of spices, messages from one end of the world to another. The aroma is enough to tease a smile from you, reminding you of those markets where bargaining was sport and storytelling was currency. Did they also fly without wings? You wonder aloud, a touch skeptical of the power held in song and scent. The performance must have been something to behold. A gentle chuckle escapes light and warm as the evening air. Your attention drifts towards the horizon, where the chant grows stronger, urging you to follow the old paths threaded by countless ancestors. It speaks to the ritual magic woven into the fabric of history, a tradition as rich and enigmatic as the desert itself. Your senses sharpen, heady, with the promise of knowledge and the faintest touch of disbelief at this impossible journey. Your fingers swipe through the air crisp and clear, and you feel the world resonate around you as if the very air acknowledges your presence, gently buoying you along the nighttime currents. The stars above glisten with unfathomable wisdom, their distant fires telling tales of eternal voyages and colossal dreams waiting to be heard. As you float, you remember the ancient Egyptians believed the soul could fly through the skies after death, charting paths to stars and celestial origins. While those high beliefs never won a conclusive conclusion among scholars, the notion sends shivers down your spine, igniting your imagination with possibilities. A memory surfaces unbidden, but welcome the tales of desert tribes who navigated using only the smell of the land around them, their noses attuned to faint signals from nature herself, a skill you might find handy if your smartphone fails to redirect you back to civilization someday. You chuckle, struck by the audacity of such a thought. Through the dance of belief and dreams, someone calls to you, though their words are distant and fragmented. Perhaps a reminder to cast aside doubt, if only for tonight, and let the wonder of the desert lift you higher. For now each gentle drift and turn is a testament to the melody guiding you, a promise whispered on the night wind. The secrets of the sands are yours, just out of reach, but no less real. You close your eyes briefly, savoring every sensation as the desert sings you onward, an eternal pilgrimage destined for the stars. In this moment, you understand flying without wings is not something to be deciphered or comprehended. It's felt deeply, sincerely through belief, stronger than any tether. In the tranquility of knowing without knowing, you exhale, slowly contentment, wrapping around you as surely as the night itself. Your thoughts meander like the soft trickle of an oasis stream. And as you glide, a serene clarity settles in your soul, whispering that some mysteries are best left pondered rather than solved. And so the chant fades into the gentle rustle of night, and in its embrace, you drift toward the dawn. There you are, amidst the shadows of towering ancient trees, whose branches sway gently in the cool evening breeze. The air carries whispers of pine and fresh earth, a scent so grounding, you feel like you are rooted alongside the very giants whose presence envelops you. You are about to witness the onset of a grand ceremony, a tradition that has summoned the hearts and spirits of those who gather here in anticipation. The air is alive with a palpable sense of expectancy. Nearby clusters of figures move with purpose. Some are gathered around a fire, its crackling flames illuminating their faces, a glimpse of what could be peace or fervor. Others are seated on the ground, eyes closed, murmuring softly in a cadence that rises and falls like the gentle waves of a distant sea. For them, this moment is sacred, and their fasting adds an edge of discipline and focus, a quiet battle against the whispers of hunger that tug at the edges of their resolve. Off to the side, laughter and music intermingle as another group delights in a feast. The scent of roasted meats and spiced breads tempts your senses, a vivid reminder that the journey towards transcendence can take many forms. It's a celebration of life, a reviving of strength for what's to come. Yet as you observe the merriment, there's something about the glint in their eyes that suggests an understanding beyond the simple pleasures of food and drink. Your gaze is drawn to a group who sing with voices that ring clear against the tapestry of night. Their tonal chants are heartfelt, almost otherworldly, as if they seek to communicate with forces unseen. People say that before great events, singing until your voice breaks is a way to merge your soul with the cosmic resonance, a belief that does not escape even the skeptics who dismiss the notion with a jest and a raised eyebrow. As you wander among these rituals, you marvel at the contrasting rhythms of preparation. It's not chaos, it's elevation, a collective harmony, where each note and each breath contribute to something greater than the sum of its parts. Historians still debate whether these ceremonies were born from divine instruction or mere tradition. But here in the midst of this tranquil night, such questions seem almost irrelevant. You can feel the intent, the yearning for something profound, a connection, a transformation. There's an elderly figure at the edge of the clearing wrapped in a robe that might have once been a vibrant color, now softened to a whisper of its former self. He moves with a deliberate grace, and when he catches your eye, his smile contains generations of stories. "It's curious, isn't it?" he says, his voice soft like the rustle of leaves. "How we prepare ourselves. Some fast, others feast. Sanity's gamble, perhaps, but oh, what a beautiful gamble it is." You acknowledge his words with a nod, pondering whether in ancient times they truly believed such rituals could affect the outcome of their endeavors. You're left to wonder at the truths and myths intertwined in this gathering like vines, wrapping around a long-forgotten pillar, both supporting and concealing. As you continue to explore, you pause before a child resting peacefully under a swathe of woven blankets, her cheeks flushed rosy in the chill of the air. You can't help but soften at the sight, a poignant reminder that at the heart of every tradition is the hope carried for the future, the passing down of ember-like ritual that might one day glow brightly once more. The night deepens, stars winking into existence like ancient watchful eyes. You find yourself breathing in sync with the rhythm of the chants and feel the pulse of life echo through the ground beneath you. As the ceremony draws near, you realize that while the specifics of these ancient cultures and their mystic preparations might be obscured by time's veil, the essence remains humans, striving, yearning for meaning together. The elderly man's words linger as you imagine just for a moment joining them, fasting to clear your mind, savoring every bite of a feast, or singing until your voice mingles with the wind. Part of you wonders if such rites might awaken something within some dormant light, waiting to be kindled by hope or belief. Someone hands you a small woven token, a gesture of goodwill, a remembrance that you were here, part of this symphony. You thank them with a smile, feeling the coolness of the woven strands against your palm. As the night wears on, the ceremony approaches with the inevitability of the sunrise. You settle in, comforted by the proximity of those around you. It feels as though the forest breathes alongside, harmonizing with the anticipation curled in your chest. You prepare yourself for whatever comes, be it profound or simply another piece of an ever-unfolding tapestry. In this quiet moment, the line between history and present day blurs, and you think perhaps this is how it has always been, each generation bravely navigating the darkness with their own blend of fear and faith. It seems absurd, this balancing act of hope and tradition, but there is a certain beauty to it, a beautifully indulgent contradiction. At the threshold of this shared experience, you embrace the stillness, closing your eyes to the rhythm of the night. Here, surrounded by these creatures of habit, these seekers and believers, you find yourself wondering how many hearts have beat with this same anxious hope. Under the starlit gaze, whatever the number you know, you are now part of that legacy, carried by the winds of ritual to meet the sky and whatever lies beyond. As you find yourself stepping into the dappled light, filtering through the canopy of a dense ancient forest, the air fills with the earthy scent of the rich loam beneath your feet. With each step, you can almost hear history itself stirring in the undergrowth. The path you tread is narrow-edged with ferns that whisper against your legs. You wonder if anyone else has walked this way before, and the idea seems both daunting and thrilling. In the midst of this verdant labyrinth sits an overgrown clearing its heart, a slightly sunken stone entrance, barely visible beneath a tangle of vines. As you approach, the sunlight catches the motes of dust suspended in the air, each speck a tiny witness to the unfolding mystery. There is a faint inscription etched into the stone, but the words evade clarity. Much like the enigma of the past itself, historians still debate whether these cryptic symbols were meant as a warning or a welcome. With a hesitant push, the ancient stone portal groans open, revealing a passage that breathes cool air, redolent of incense and myrrh. You wonder if they ever truly believed these offerings would carry their hopes and prayers into the afterlife. Down here, time feels different, as though it's wrapped in layers, each one distinct and yet interdependent. Your footsteps echo softly in the corridor, each sound folding into the silence that follows. Pausing for a moment, you find yourself amused by the notion that a group of dedicated scholars might one day argue over the very place you're standing, debating whether it was a burial site or a ritual chamber where forgotten rites were performed. Idle curiosity tugs at your mind, your fingers tracing the cool, carved walls, as if the knowledge might somehow transfer to your fingertips. The corridor widens into a vaulted chamber, illuminated by an unseen source, the glow soft and spectral. You exhale slowly, shoulders relaxing against the sheer magnitude of what lies before you. The ceiling arches high above a night sky, frozen in stone sprinkled with tiny shards of crystal that glimmer like stars. Amidst the serenity, you catch sight of a figure entirely incongruous with the solemnity of the tomb. A man standing poised at the center, a lotus clutched in his hand, a gentle smile on his face. A surprisingly cheerful companion for such a somber place. You made it. He says, voice a lilting echo that dances across the chamber. You nod, amusement tickling your lips, a speaking statue, or maybe a vision from some fevered imagination. I hear it's not a common tourist spot, you reply, casting a glance around the chamber. The man chuckles, a sound so warm it defies the chill of the stone. Ah, but it's quite the view. If this is death, let me sway a while longer. There's a story here, you realize, one that spans eons. And although you've only just stepped into its pages, every moment seems to weave you further into its narrative. You follow him deeper into the tomb, listening to tales of ephemeral beauty and poignant farewells. Each word shapes your understanding of the people who once filled these halls, a civilization whose echoes remain both haunting and inspiring. The lotus, now seemingly alive in the man's grasp, vibrates with an unearthly energy. You wonder, perhaps with a touch of whimsical curiosity, if this flower holds the stories of centuries past, if each petal is a page, each scent a fragment of lost wisdom floating into your consciousness like a gentle breeze. And so together you wander, neither hurried nor alone, across the threshold of time, suspended in a moment where the past and present find harmony in the soft echo of ancient laughter that slips through the stone corridors.